Hello, folks. This is Pastor Mike Hoggard, pastor of Bethel Church in Festus, Missouri, and head of Prophetic Research Ministry with another Watchman video broadcast. I'm going to start out with this article. Spanish debt wilts amid 250 billion euro rescue plan confusion. Now, that's not really the article that I really cared anything about. It was the little all-seeing eye logo of the European Union. I'm telling you, everybody's changing their logos, and I've got a couple more here in today's broadcast. But just kind of be watching around you and notice what is going on. Companies that had a logo or had something, and I can't wait to get into what I've got here today concerning a company that is related to this oil spill. You're going to want to hang on for this one, because I think, and I've been saying this since April or since May, but I think something is up with this oil spill. We'll see what happens. But anyway, companies changing their logos, changing their identity, rebranding themselves, as it were. And I just want us to keep our eyes on this, because I think the images that we are being bombarded with here in this country and around the world, I think it means something. I think there is an implantation or an impartation of imagery, both through symbols and through logos and through phrases that companies are branding themselves with, that is getting inside the minds and the psyches and may one day even get inside the very soul of humanity. It's just something we're going to watch for. Anyway, here is this article from WorldNet Daily. A gay judge decides future of homosexual marriage. A San Francisco district court judge who is reportedly homosexual will decide soon whether to overturn the will of California voters and strike down Proposition 8, the state's constitutional amendment that defines marriage as the union of one man and one woman, in a landmark trial that many say is likely headed to the Supreme Court, U.S. Supreme Court. Attorneys for both sides presented closing arguments today in the trial, Perry versus Schwarzenegger. That's the governor, by the way. A lawsuit seeking to declare the proposition violates the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. Voters first approved the definition of marriage as a union between a man and a woman as a state law in 2000, then again in 2008 as an amendment to the state constitution with 52% of the vote. Later, the state Supreme Court, reversing its own ruling from only months earlier, affirmed 6-1 that the provision is constitutional. While Republican Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger and Democrat Attorney General Jerry Brown, who was a former governor of California, are listed as defendants in the lawsuit, both have opposed Proposition 8 and refused to defend it in court, forcing the private attorneys to defend the law. Now Alliance Defense Fund attorneys, along with lead counsel Charles Cooper and ADF allied attorney Andrew Pugno, have intervened on behalf of the ProtectMarriage.com, the group that sponsored the amendment campaign. They're defending Prop 8 again in a trial that ADF warns could impact marriage laws in as many as 45 other states, including the 30 states where voters adopted state constitutional amendments. We talked about this, and I'm not some great wise man that sees all, knows all, but some things just made sense to me. We talked about this over the course of time on this broadcast, that you watch what's going on in California. At some point, they're going to try to reverse. Now listen to this now. The will of the people. The will of the people in California was that gay marriage was against the law. There is a very small minority suing now against the will of the people. I thought in this country it was the will of the people. That was, I know that the motto of the state of Missouri is, let the will of the people be the supreme law. They're going to overturn in California. Here, this homosexual judge, and everybody says, oh, well, he's impartial. No, he's not. No, he's not. They're going to overturn this. It's going to go to the Supreme Court. And you watch and see what happens. You watch the lobbying power of the United States government against this thing, and it could very well be overturned in the United States Supreme Court, which means that in the state of Missouri, 80% of the voters in the state of Missouri several years ago voted a constitutional amendment saying that marriage was to be defined as the union of a man and a woman together, and narrowly defined. And you watch and see that this homosexual activism that's going on in our country right now, that Barack Obama, Nancy Pelosi, Harry Reid, Barney Frank, and scores, maybe even hundreds, maybe even thousands of others, elected politicians and policymakers in this country support this gay marriage thing. And you watch and see if it's not overturned in this country. One verse came to mind today. In fact, I want to read the whole context here. I'm going to be in Psalm chapter 12. Psalm 12:8 says, "The wicked walk on every side when the vilest men are exalted." This is what we have going on in this country. But listen to it in the context of the whole chapter of Psalm chapter 12. "Help, Lord, for the godly man ceaseth." Where is the people that's going to stand up? "For the faithful fail from among the children of men." I guarantee you it will not be, what's his name, in California. I just drew a blank here. Saddleback Community Church. Rick Warren. That's it. I guarantee you Rick Warren's not going to come out on the side of the Scriptures here and say, hey, we're against this. He's got too much to lose. "Help, Lord, for the godly man ceaseth, for the faithful fail from among the children of men. They speak vanity, every one with his neighbor." Notice how David is talking about the speech of the ungodly people and the words that they use. "With flattering lips and with a double heart do they speak. The Lord shall cut off all flattering lips and the tongue that speaketh proud things. Who have said, with our tongue we will prevail, our lips are our own. Who is Lord over us?" You know, that is what you'll hear from the homosexual crowd, is that they don't believe that any God rules and reigns over them and tells them what to do. They don't want a moral majority in this country. They don't want the Christian so-called right telling them what to do. They feel like they have the right to their own bodies and do whatever they want to do. Nobody's going to lord over them. This is what they're saying. "For the oppression of the poor, for the sighing of the needy, now will I arise, saith the Lord, I will set him in safety from him that puffeth at him." Now this is in the contrast. Here's the words of the wicked. Now here's the words of the Lord. "The words of the Lord are pure words, as silver tried in a furnace of earth, purified 7 times. See, God's Word is pure. And God's Word intends to make the minds and the hearts of men pure and undefiled. And I thank God for a pure Bible that can clean out and make pure the mind of somebody like me and somebody like you. "Thou shalt keep them, O Lord, thou shalt preserve them from this generation forever." God is talking about the preservation of mankind, the preservation of society through the contents of His preserved, pure Word. But in contrast then, He says in verse 8, "The wicked walk on every side when the vilest men are exalted." We're about to, in this country, we're about to unleash the floodgates of iniquity inside this country when these gay marriage bans are overturned by one judge. The will of the people is no longer the rule of law in the United States of America. And we're about to see, because of the agenda, because of the homosexual agenda, the power that they have, probably untold thousands of people who hold public office in this country are quietly, secretly gay. I don't know that for sure, but I'm just saying, look at how many of them are being forced to come out of the closet. This is the world we live in today. Here's something else about the will of the people. I couldn't believe this one. Residents get 6 votes in each suburban New York election. Arthur Ferrano voted early, 5 days before Election Day. He voted often, flipping the lever 6 times for his favorite candidate. Ferrano cast multiple votes in the instructions of a federal judge, the U.S. Department of Justice, as a part of a new election system crafted to help boost Hispanic representation. Voters in Port Chester, 25 miles northeast of New York City, are electing village trustees for the first time since the federal government alleged in 2006 that the existing election system was unfair. The election ends Tuesday and results are expected late Tuesday. Although the village of about 30,000 residents is nearly half Hispanic, no Latino had ever been elected to any of the 6 trustee seats, which until now were chosen on a conventional at-large election. Most voters were white, and white candidates always won. Federal Judge Stephen Robinson said that